Last night, I was talking to someone at the line. They came up to me, hey, man, what do you think about this administration? They're taking everything away from us. I said, they ain't took nothing from me. What do you mean they're taking everything away from us? What are you talking about, Linnell? They're taking DEI. They're taking this. Like, you're not concerned about it? Not in the least. Not in the least. It doesn't impact my goals. I'm so used to resistance. Okay, one more thing. Let's go. Not in the least worried about it. I'm going to continue to do what it is that I do, move in the way that I move. But that comes with a belief that it just doesn't matter. I'm going to win no matter what. If it snows on the field today, I'm going to win. If it rains on the field today, I'm going to win. They can even drop some hailstones. I'm going to win. Do you believe that?
Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live a dream. Find your purpose now. Inspirational perspective. Let's slay your goals.
On this particular Sunday, the day they call Super Bowl Sunday, where, according to the estimates, over 115 million people will be watching the same event at the same time. All for different reasons. But this event will have our attention. I'll be watching too. I'll be watching. It'll have our attention. And so whenever something like this happens, an event like this, it always has me thinking about what we're willing to give our attention to and the cost of that. And so part of what I'm talking about today is that. Now, I do get that some of you are going to be like, well, I don't care about that. Then, in that case, think about the thing that you do care about, the thing that is your guilty pleasure, whatever it may be. Because I think it aligns, and I think the conversation will make sense for you as well. I got to start out, though, for those of you on Facebook, those of you in Radio Land, what's your pick? What is your pick? And I know that's not a normal way for me to communicate with you guys, but it's a real way. Typically, when someone brings up the game, that's the next question. What's your pick? Who you going with? Who are you pulling for? And I think the biggest question outside of that is the emotional energy that you vest in pulling for them. Are you vesting in that self? Are you vesting in yourself in the way that you pull for you? I just want you to ask yourself that simple question. Like, are you as vested in yourself in terms of how you pull for you? Already I'm getting some answers in the Facebook feed. I love it. That's the idea. This is something that captures our attention, that we get excited about for a number of reasons. And I want to swing it back as best I can to you, to how you take care of yourself. Do you know how much a 30-second, and you can Google it if you want, but how much is a 30-second ad spot for the Super Bowl today? And let me ask you, have you looked this up? All right. So if it was 2.5, 2.3, 2.5, 2.7, something I can't remember exactly. But back in 2018, how much would you say it is in 2025?
My guess would be 4 million.
4 million?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Willie on Facebook said 10 million. The answer, a 30-second spot in 2025 is $8 million. So for a company, because we know we have your attention today. Like I know I got your attention today. So because I know I have your attention today, and by the way, these companies are not just going to spend the $8 million, right? But they got to produce the commercial that's going to compete with all the other commercials that are looking to grab your attention. They have to produce a commercial that is, Clarence said, ChatGPT said 7 million. They have to produce a commercial that will grab your attention, that will be memorable, that hopefully will make the Monday morning, news cycle around, wow, that was awesome. So they get other free advertising, right? So how do we make this commercial go viral? Which means that they have to pay for the spot. Not only do they pay for the spot, then they have to create something that they believe will not only grab our attention, but also convince us to take action we otherwise wouldn't have taken. That's a tall task. And here's the thing. They're willing to take the bet. And this should kind of get under your skin a little bit. They're willing to make this really expensive bet that they can actually get you to do something that as of right now, you do not want to do. Like as of in this moment, you don't want to do it. Like it's not even on your mind. So how do I plant a seed? How do I incept your thought in a way where I can get you to do something that that you otherwise wouldn't even be thinking about? Come Monday morning, you're like, oh, now I got this on my mind. That's what many of them have spent, I would say, likely the last 6 to 9 months figuring out. These big companies, large teams. I mean, so 8 million on the commercial itself, 30 seconds. If you want 60 seconds, 16 million. I want you guys to wrap your minds around this, okay? If you want 60 seconds, 16 million. But then all the payroll that it takes for the chief marketing officer, the individuals who are marketing psychologists, all the people in that corporation within the marketing division that are looking to grab your attention are vested in getting you to behave differently on Monday. If you ever wondered why it is so difficult to stay focused on what it is that you want to do, today is going to be a masterclass in why. Like if you watch that Super Bowl, it's going to be a masterclass in why it's so difficult. Because I can guarantee you the commercials are going to be phenomenal. They're going to be phenomenal. They're going to be, because there has been a lot of intention, the same thing I tell you in terms of goal setting, right? A lot of vision, a lot of clarity, a lot of intention put on getting human beings to act in a particular way that they otherwise wouldn't have if they didn't see our message. That's why I say it should get under your skin just a little bit. So here's my question to kick off the show. If companies are willing to spend millions just to capture 30 seconds of your attention, why do so many of us give up our time for free? Just give it away. Just give it away. One of the most valuable commodities that you have, one of the most valuable commodities that you have is time. It's something that when you spend it, you can never get it back. And it's finite. And the most concerning part is that you don't know how much you have. None of us do. We can assume, but we don't really know. And so based on that, how are you spending your time? Like, how are you spending your time? It also comes down to the economics of attention, because the Super Bowl isn't just about football. It's about an investment in human focus. And I think this is one of the reasons over the years I've come to this topic, from time to time, because it does fascinate me, like the investment in human focus. Because if you follow me, if you went to the masterclass, one of the things that you know is that the main reason we don't accomplish our goals is because of a lack of focus, a lack of clarity. What's killing your clarity? Yet, there is an event that for most of us is inconsequential to our life, inconsequential to our lifestyles, inconsequential to how we live, inconsequential to what is next in our lives, for the most part, that we are willing to focus on, not for 5 minutes, not for 10 minutes, not for 30 minutes, not for 1 hour, but for multiple hours. We are willing to focus in on this when many of us still struggle to give that same level of focus to our own vision and dreams, like to what it is that I want to do. In fact, some of us aren't clear on our own vision and dreams, like what it is that we want out of life, because we are unwilling to give ourselves the gift of time to sit and push through the resistance for clarity. Yet, these cameras on the arena draw us. Something about our survival mechanisms. Love this. So this poses a real challenge, especially for someone like me who cares about us reaching our purpose and our destiny and our potential. And like, part of my purpose is to support you with living the best life possible. And I know the best life possible comes from you tapping to your seed of greatness. But in order to get to your seed of greatness, you have to know your purpose. In order to know your purpose, you have to sit and gain clarity on who you be and who you are and what is your identity. What are your own special talents and strengths and passions and the roles that you play? Like, all these things about you that have to come into focus so you can be great. And right now, if I pose the question of which quarterback in the Super Bowl is the best quarterback, according to the stats, there are people who could argue for either man in ways that they could not argue for themselves. They couldn't argue. Like, they couldn't run the same stats on themselves. These are my top 10 talents. These are my top 10 strengths. This is how I show up. This is what I can do. Like, those things they don't know, but they do know, or they will try to convince you that they know these things about these men. And that's slightly concerning for me. Not slightly, it's a lot concerning for me. Like, it's one of those things that I believe many people end up regretting on their deathbeds. This focus on all of the extrinsic things, extrinsic people, versus the focus on themselves. The focus on who am I supposed to be in the world. So the real challenge becomes if big businesses are willing to quantify and pay for your time, why aren't you doing the same for yourself? I I was reading this article on Jalen Hurt, and he was saying that he knew that some of his teammates were different when they told him, "Hey, we get up and we run these hills at 5 a.m. every morning. You coming?" And he was like, "Man, okay, these guys are different." And then he said every morning, like clockwork, 5 a.m., these men met at the hill. They run this hill up and down, up and down. They run this hill. And today, we get to see, and I think this is one of the reasons we're drawn. We're always drawn to greatness. But today, we get to see the work they did in the dark. Because it's dark at 5 a.m. I know because I'm up. We get to see the work they did in the dark. We get to see what that looks like. We get to see the results of that. And it inspires us. But here's what I want you to take from the game today. When you see something that absolutely moves you, I want you to ask yourself, what did that man do? What did he do in the dark that made him able to do that right now under these lights? And how does that translate into my life? What do I need to start doing in the dark that will allow me to perform at the top level when the lights are on in my life? I think one of the reasons some of us avoid the light, we hide our light, is because we're not taking enough reps in the dark. We're not taking enough reps. And so when the opportunity comes, we're like, no, not me. You want me to come up there? Please, no. When that could be your opportunity. That could be the way that you take it to the next level. That could be the step that you didn't know where it was coming from. That was the next action that you were supposed to take. If you don't know what your time is worth, someone else will decide it for you. Like if you can write that down right now, I would write it down. I would put it on my mirror. I would put it in my space. I would look at that and say, like, man, I don't want anybody telling me what my time is worth, especially when I don't know how much of it I have. Especially when I know that it's finite, and especially when once it's given, I cannot get it back. You ever do something, somebody invites you to something where you debate, should I do this? Should I spend the valuable moments of my weekend, the valuable moments that I have going to do this thing? You kind of debated and but I said I would. You know, I committed myself when they called. I said, yeah, I'll be there. Then you do all the things that it takes, all the prep that it takes in the dark, right, to make yourself beautiful. All the outfit changes for the ladies and all those different things that you have to do to get to this space only to be let down. You're like, what is happening here? What is going on? And then, I know my wife and I, we're real good at this. Well, we said we would come. We're here. And now we can go. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, like, babe, this ain't what we thought it was. Okay. Hey, look, it was nice. Thank you so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hug, hug, hug. Peace and blessings. Boom. Out. Right? It's like, And then that'd be the conversation like, oh, my God, I can't believe we drove all the way. Like, man, that was not what I thought it would be. Why? Why does it matter? Because our time matters. How much is your time worth to you? Now, one of the ways our time slips from us is in what we give attention. And there is an actual business for our attention. Right now, my marketing team, we're in the conversation of like, how do we grab the attention in the way that we want to grab the attention? I mean, we've been talking about this, like, how do we best put information out on the internet? Even this show, like, how do we frame the show? in a way that we get more eyeballs, more viewers, more attention. More attention. Now, this is in pursuit of purpose. We believe it's noble, but I would challenge, I think almost everybody believes that the pursuit that they have is noble in some capacity, right? So maybe we're no different from the others. You can decide. But before we go into the break, I want to break down the numbers for the business of attention for the Super Bowl, so we get an idea of what's happening, like what's happening for us. So a 30-second ad costs, between $7 to $8 million. This means that advertisers are paying 23 cents per person per second. So almost a quarter per person per second just to get your attention. So they understand the power of attention. I just want you to ask yourself right now, what am I giving my attention to? Like, what am I in my life giving my attention to? Giving your attention away. And at a minimum, is it worth a quarter a second? Because that's what they believe your attention is worth. If I'm willing to buy your attention for 23 cents on a second, if I can do that, right? If you break those numbers down, 116 million viewers. I did it based on 8 million. Some people are saying 7 for 30 seconds per person. Like, starts to add up 23 cents per second. That's how much they're willing to give for my attention. When you give your attention, what is it costing you? Like, what is it costing you in your life? I was thinking this morning. So last night, my cousin, he had a birthday party. My wife and I went. It's a lounge on the south side. We get in, and you start seeing people that, you've known over the years. And, some of the gentlemen, some of these men, you've seen them for a while. You tip your hat. What's going on, brother? And I'm like, the last time I saw that brother, it was in a lounge like this at somebody else's gathering. And he wasn't at that gathering. He was just at the lounge. If you get my point. And I was thinking like, oh, God, what makes me think that my life couldn't be in that cycle if I hadn't followed the proper steps, if I hadn't properly aligned myself, that I could be stuck in the same cycle, trying to get the same high, the same, like over and over. Like, what has your attention? What has your attention? It kind of hurt my heart. Like, you see the people I've, known for years, like, man, in the same spaces. No real movement. No real movement. I want you to write down, like, what is the value of my attention? Now, my assumption is that the majority of us, let's say 80 to 90% of us, are underpricing ourselves. And I'm talking about when it comes to, like, what we give our attention to, like what we're focused on. Like, are you giving your attention to the thing that's going to advance your life and take you where you intend to go because you know and you're very clear on your vision? Like, Because that's what I believe. Like, one of the things that people will say right away is, well, I need to go ask for a raise. I'm not talking about that. You'll be given the raise if you begin to fully align yourself and step into your talents and step into who you know you can be. But if something else has got your attention, then, why would they? 1 hour of your attention to the Super Bowl is costing the advertiser $8.22 per person. They're like, man, I hope like, is your attention worth $8 an hour? Well, I'm not giving it because I'm getting paid. I know. And here's the thing. That's time with friends and family and stuff like that. And, it's like, sometimes you create these memories. I can remember Super Bowl parties from years ago, right? You create these memories. That's not the point. The point is there's something else you're giving your attention to that is worth a lot less. It's doing nothing. In fact, it might actually be detracting from your life. Corporations, they got this figured out. They've made a science out of monetizing attention. And I believe it's one of the reasons we underprice ourselves. Because they'll tell us what the price is. Well, this is how much that's worth. And so we never set our own price. We never say, no. This is how much I'm worth. I said this some time ago. I did a show, and I said the only cost is your attention, and I know it's high, right? The only cost, I'm going to put you on game, and the only cost is your attention, and I know that cost is high. So the reason it's high, I believe, is because most of us can't consciously focus on one thing. We've lost that ability. And most of us don't consciously decide what we're going to focus on. Today, I'm focusing on X. I'll give you a perfect example. So this week, my wife and I, some of the Slayer Goals members, we went through a cleanse. We went through a detox and cleanse. And so I decided that this past week was going to be the focus was going to be cleaning and organizing. If I'm detoxing and cleansing my body, then I'm also in the moments that I have, the free moments that I have that usually I might give away, right? Who just texted me? Let me listen to these voicemails. What is the latest and greatest on social media? That's the real one, right? I normally would have given it away. Instead, the focus is going to be cleaning and organizing. Told my assistant, this week, this is what we're doing. We're cleaning out everything. Let's clean it out. Let's get it. Let's put these things in files. Let's rebox. Let's do all those things. When was the last time you made a conscious decision that my focus is going to go somewhere that will clean the path for me moving forward? It's going to take care of it. It's this right here, if I can focus here, it will handle other things. In my mind, it's if I can get my office clean and organized for 2025 tax folders, receipt folders, then the rest of 2025, I'm just following the process. Many of our lives are unorganized because our mind is unorganized because we haven't consciously decided where the focus will go. So instead, we unknowingly give away our most valuable resource, time, with no expectation of a return. What am I getting for that time? In 2024, the time I spent working, the time I spent supporting others, how was I compensated for that? Physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, how was I compensated? Am I better now? Am I better as a result of that investment of time, or am I worse? And by the way, if you can look at that and say, man, I'm not physically, I'm not where I want to be. My relationships aren't where I want them to be. My money's not where I want it to be. My spirituality's not where I want it to be. It's likely because you've been focused on the wrong things. You've been investing your time, or the lack of focus on investing your time is showing up in your life. If companies think your time, they don't even know you. They're putting up 23 cents a second. They don't know you. Actually, that's not true. They do know you. They're buying your data. They're buying your data. Like all the time that you spend on social media for free, they're extracting data. This is what he likes. Oh, I day. Okay. He spent 30 seconds looking at that. Let's send them more. That's what he, let's send them more. So they do know us. And what they know is that if I give you 23 cents a second, I can get you. I can get you. And by the way, please know that when they make investments like this, they intend to win. So if I'm giving you 23 seconds, that means that you about to come out your pocket and likely give me $1 for every second. Like you give them, like if I put up 23, I'm going to get $1 back. I promise you, folks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, going to be buying things they never would have bought. They never would have, it wouldn't have been on their mind. They wouldn't have thought about the sandwich Monday at lunch. They wouldn't have thought about the sandwich if they didn't see it on Sunday. But now they like, oh, the restaurant is right. And when he been into that, I got to get one. Here they go. They just paid for the commercial and the sandwich like that. Boop. Big business is saying, thank you. I believe that many of us romanticize what it is we think we believe, but we don't really believe it. We don't really know it enough to believe it. We don't know it well enough to fully believe it. And because we don't know it well enough, because we're not intrinsically, we don't have a deep understanding of it, then we don't fully believe it. We think we believe it, but if we believed it, we would act on it. But because, I think I have an understanding of it, that's where we get stuck. We don't act. We don't move powerfully because I think I know. I think I know. Today, there will be people who go into their bank accounts and place a bet on one of these teams, on one of these men to perform in a particular way because of how deeply they believe in that individual's talents. Oh, there's no way he won't have 3 receptions. I got to take that. I believe that this man and the work that he's done in the dark, that if the ball goes in his direction, he is going to catch it. I believe it so much, $1,000 on the parlay. Right? Y'all know I'm not lying. And the same person, if somebody said, hey, if you come to this seminar, if you do this, if you take this action, if you take this course, $1,000, it will deliver this in your life, that's too much. You know why? Because they don't have the same belief in themselves. It's that simple. It is that simple. And it's sad. It's sad, man. But this is the world we live in, where I would have more belief in someone I've never met than I have in myself. Misplaced belief. I would have more belief in what they can and cannot do than what I have in myself. So we'll cheer them on. We'll scream. We'll be more emotional for them and what's happening over there in their lives than we are for ourselves. Would you cheer for yourself that way? I mean, think about it. When we win, many of us, when we have a win, we'll say, well, I should have did it already. I should have been hit that goal. I set that goal in 2023. I'm just not hitting it. That's horrible. Let me just move on. Or we could say that about the Eagles. They should have won, right? I can guarantee you if they win tonight, they won't be reflecting on when they should have won the last Super Bowl. They'll be fully present in that win and in that celebration. Shouldn't you be like that? We will cheer for others more than we cheer for ourselves. I mean, think about the energy it takes to jump up off the couch and go, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, but you have a win and you're like, eh. Whew. If you don't know what game you're playing, you can't win. What's your 2025 game? And I'm gonna make it simple for you. Like, put it in the context of the 4 pillars of life. Most of you know that framework. What's your 2025 health game? Like, this is, when I walk out of 2025, this is the game I would have won in my health. What is your 2025 relationship game? You know, for your children, for your spouse, whatever it may be. What's your relationship game? What's your 2025 financial game? Like, when you walk out of 2025, what ground would you have taken financially? Will you be ahead or will you be behind where you were? What's your career game? Your purpose game? What games are you playing in the places of life that really matter? If you don't know what game you're playing, you can't win. A few years ago, my wife and I, we got invited to the special Super Bowl event. And you had all these different celebrities there. Jay Leno did a little set for us. It was a small, intimate group. It was really nice. You know, he signed things. We took pictures and all that. I don't think we ever posted the pictures, though. I need to do better, man. Anyway, talking about getting people's attention, right? And Darren Woodson, he was there. And I had an opportunity to have a conversation with him. We were, kind of chopping it up a bit. And he's a former Super Bowl champion. As a matter of fact, I think it's the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. It's a long time ago, right? And I asked him, I said, hey, man, from time to time, I'll do a show on the radio where I ask people, like, what's your Super Bowl? And I'm like, so you're not playing now, but you were a professional player, and, you show up as someone who, you can't play on that level and not be intentional. What's your Super Bowl now? He knew right off the top. Man, my Super Bowl right now is serving veterans, man, supporting veterans. Look, taking their lives to the next level. He started to go all into all the things that he knew right off the top. Even though he's retired from the NFL, this is the game I'm playing. The championship mindset is not just for athletes. Like, the championship mindset is for anyone willing to compete for their dreams. You can look at last night, Boston was playing New York. I'm watching the game, and you look at somebody like Jason Tatum, NBA champion, right? Won last year. And just watching this game, it's like, man, that takes intent. That takes intent. This guy's pulling up from way outside the arc with a hand in his face, all net. That takes intent. And we look at that and we go, wow. He hit a shot that made me go, whew. Just like, my goodness. Wow. Wow. Here's the thing. I may not play under the lights like that when it comes to basketball, but I'm very clear on what that shot looks like in my life. Like, I'm very clear on what that looks like in my life. Like, are you competing for your dreams in the same way? Are you actually working toward a championship level goal, like an audacious goal? There's a book that I think they call it Big Hairy Goals, and it's talked about, like, one of the reasons many of us aren't playing big games is because our goals aren't big enough. Like, what's the big audacious goal that scares you just a little bit? I can guarantee you these men, they played plenty of games. They're walking into this, they got nerves. They got butterflies in their stomach. Some of them right now, like, I should still be sleeping, but I can't sleep. Like, oh, man, I should still be resting, but I can't rest because it's such a big day for them. Like, when is the last time you played a game in your career, in your life, where you had that feeling? You're like, this is a big, like, okay, all of this leads to that. Now I get to hand them this product. Now I get to give my client this thing, like this thing that I've been working on that can change everything. Like, what's that game for you? Now I'm scaling my business. Now I'm sitting at home while everybody else is working. What is this day going to be like? I got butterflies. Like, what's that game for you? Or are you going to spend the rest of your life watching other people win? Watching them win theirs. Oh, that's nice. Hey, it was cool. It was nice to see the shot yesterday. It was like in real time. Wow. It was nice. It's like, man, he's got that juice, you know? And at the same time, it's even better to hit the shot myself in my life. Like when you can walk away from a goal that was set, that was executed in a way that you know was well done. I hit my shot. What's the last thing you truly invested your time in that benefited you? Like you invested time in it and you got something from it that took your life to the next level. Like, you know, like this investment of time has made me better. When is the last time that happened? And then what was it? And I hope for most of us, this can come like, oh, I know, yeah. And hopefully it's recent. If it's not, it's time to shift some things. It's time to make that 2025. I would say you can't afford to wait until March. It's got to be in February. Where am I going to invest my time in a way that benefits me and takes me to the next level? And here's the other thing. In Facebook right now, what I want you to write down is when it comes to truly investing yourself, when it comes to truly investing yourself, like, have you identified a belief that's held you back in the past? Like, what's the belief that's held you back? Like, put it in the comments. Like, what's the belief that's held you back? Like, when it really comes to, like, playing a game, a big game, to taking yourself to the next level, like, is there, like, what's the thing that when you push to move forward, what's the thing that you notice tends to, like, try to hold you back? Put it on blast if you don't mind. See, because here's the thing. Awareness is the only way to choose outside of the normal way that you choose so you can make powerful movement forward. So you can begin, like, taking action with intent. Awareness is the only way. So, like, where have you noticed where your beliefs, like your belief on something, actually held you back? Like, oh, if I go to this conference, you know, am I really going to do all the things that they say, or I'm just going to waste 3 days? It's like, okay, then is that about the conference or is it about you? Like, so that belief, the limiting belief would be, I don't believe that if I put myself in a space to learn, I'll leverage it. That would be the limiting belief. That's what I'm talking about. I believe that one of the reasons many of us aren't playing at a championship level is because of our limiting beliefs. Like, we don't believe we're champions. Like, you don't believe at the very core of your being that you have championship DNA. Like, championship DNA. Like, do you believe that you have championship DNA? I might be behind right now, but I'm going to come through. It's going to come through, and I'm going to win this game. Like, I believe in myself to the extent that as long as God gives breath in my body, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to hit this. Like, do you believe in yourself that way? Do you believe in yourself with that level of fervor and passion? And what I believe is, like many of us, one of the reasons that it's so easy for us to give our attention to a Super Bowl, celebrate other people, and go through the emotions of winning with them versus for ourselves is because there's an underlying belief that I'll never celebrate that way. So at least I get to celebrate them. At least I get to celebrate my favorite quarterback. At least I get to celebrate my favorite team. At least I get to at least I get to celebrate something. At least I get the euphoria of celebration in some capacity of my life, because when I look at my own life, there's nothing to celebrate. And the only reason that remains true is because you believe it. And if you're ready to take your life to another level, 2025, like I'm going to break barriers, then you have to reprogram your beliefs. You got to reprogram your beliefs. Last night, I was talking to someone at the line. They came up to me, hey, man, what do you think about this administration? They're taking everything away from us. I said, they ain't took nothing from me. What do you mean they're taking everything away from us? What are you talking about, Linnell? They're taking DEI. They're taking this. Like, you're not concerned about it? Not in the least. Not in the least. It doesn't impact my goals. I'm so used to resistance. Okay, one more thing. Let's go. Not in the least worried about it. I'm going to continue to do what it is that I do, move in the way that I move. But that comes with a belief that it just doesn't matter. I'm going to win no matter what. If it snows on the field today, I'm going to win. If it rains on the field today, I'm going to win. They can even drop some hailstones. I'm going to win. Do you believe that? And here's the thing, that enough, not enough, it'll start to permeate. You know, it becomes a physiological thing. It's like, all right, I don't feel like I'm enough. And sometimes it comes down to affirming I am worthy because I breathe. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go through each of these and just give you something to take away. Like, I am worthy because I breathe. I am enough because I have the breath of God in my lungs. If I'm a child of God and He created me, then all I need to do is just get in alignment with the gifts and talents that He's given me so I can play at a whole different level. I would tell myself that every day. Look myself in the mirror and say, man, you are special. You are amazing. Take a deep breath and say, that's God in me. And if God is good, I've got to be good. Here's another one. I don't think I deserve to win. Thinking I don't deserve the win. We do get that, like, if you believe you don't deserve the win, it's already gone mentally. So we got to get to a point where we like, I will win. I deserve to win. Now, it's fair. Some of this comes from trauma. Like, some of this comes from, and that's work that has to be done if you want to go to the next level. And so then that's something else for us to think about. Because if I'm willing to place $100 on a parlay, am I willing to bet on myself in therapy? Am I willing to say, I'm tired. I'm tired of these negative self-thoughts. I'm tired of this negative self-dialogue. I'm willing to bet that if I go sit down and do something about it, that I can get rid of it. I'm willing to bet on myself. Ooh, this is a good one. That's for them is not for me. Another limiting belief. You know, they the people around me, the people I look up to, the people that I follow, like, they have wins, but not me. Like, I don't win. Same thing. Like, this is one of the things I tell the Slay Your Goals members. It's the importance of affirmations. And one of the ways to begin to get underneath this type of thinking is gratitude and affirmation. Like, where have you been winning in your life? Like, where have you won? I would have a list. Because now winning is not just for them, but winning is for me. And look at this list. Look at this list of wins. Of all the wins I've had. This is proof that winning's for me too. I win. I win on a regular basis. See, one of the things that our survival mechanisms do to us, and when I say survival mechanism, it's the part of you that doesn't want anything to change. It's the part of you that wants to stay comfortable. And because it understands the current environment that you're in, it wants to stay comfortable in that environment. And if you keep winning, your environment has to change, right? That means, and if you keep winning, that means that there are going to be people aiming for you. The Super Bowl champion come next season, that first game, I want to take you down, right? Many of us don't, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of attention. I don't want that kind of focus. You got to get to a point where it doesn't matter. I'm a winner. I've logged wins. I'll win today. I'll win tomorrow because that's how I move. And just begin to change that belief. Shift that belief. Someone said, thinking I'm not smart enough. I would set a mental dexterity goal. Start proving it to myself. What's something you want to learn that you think is difficult right now? I would dedicate my 2025 to it just to know, like just to see myself do it. Now I have a log. There's a win right there. I can learn anything I put my mind to. I was sharing at the masterclass at the end of last year that when I was struggling with the enough, not enough context, like my mind dealing with negative thoughts, anytime I have free space and time, I would say it out loud. I'd be walking through the airport. I'm great. I am powerful. I can do anything I put my mind to. I am great. Just over and over. I am great because I'm just rewiring my subconscious mind. I got to look, we got a game to play. I need you to show up for me. I'm doing the mental reps right now in the dark. So when I show up and the lights are on, I don't freeze. I am great. I am powerful. I can do anything I put my mind to. I would say it. I'm great. I am powerful. I can do anything I put my mind to. There's a cost to that. The cost is I have to be willing to be with myself and repeat those 3 statements versus listen to music. The cost is I have to be willing to be with myself and repeat those 3 statements versus scroll social media. There's a cost to it. The cost is I have to be willing to be with myself and say those 3 statements and maybe not take that phone call. The cost is I have to be willing to be with myself and say no to anything else that seems attractive until I go through this mental repetition where I'm rewiring my brain because I got a game I'm playing. I love that. Somebody just put an affirmation right here in the Facebook comments. Winning is for me and my household. And that's what I'm talking about. We got to get to a point, because here's the thing. Right now, these players, many of them, they're awake. They're beginning to go through a routine, a winner's routine. You get where I'm going? They're starting to do certain things. Like, okay, I can imagine they're like, okay, I need to get this much water in my body. I need to do this. They're thinking about their breakfast. It ain't just any breakfast. This is the breakfast of a champion. Like, today is the game. Some of them, they say, I don't eat. Can't remember what quarterback that was. He was like, I didn't eat all day. Fasted all day, went out on the field. Like, someone else, they might be like, I got to have a special meal. They got a routine. What's your winning routine? You willing to bet on yourself? Faith is more than just religion. It's a success principle. Like, I can't wait to next week's show because I'm going to talk about the foundation of faith. We were trying to figure out, like, how to title it. And I was like, this got to be titled. I need the week to figure out how to just title it because I know what I want to talk about. But I want to know how to title it so people understand how important this topic is. The greatest athletes, the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest leaders, they all have one thing in common. They're willing to bet on themselves. They are willing to bet on themselves. And what I mean by that is every time you get up, you hit the weight room if you're an athlete. Every time you go into the court and you're shooting shots, you're betting on it because you're actually taking valuable time and you're saying, this is worth it for me to do this because I'm going to leverage this experience to turn myself into a champion. Where are you doing that in your life? When is the last time you read a book that would take your business to the next level? Books take too long to read. Oh, you're not willing to make the bet? You're not willing to make the bet? If I actually give myself to this subject, if I actually give myself to this topic, it will make a difference. That is worth the time spent. What if you treated each of your dreams, each of the goals for 2025, like they were a championship game? Would you read them every day then? See? It's a thing. Like, if that's your Super Bowl, would you read it every day? Would you show up even when you feel like you're losing? Even when you feel the anxiety, the lack of clarity, would you show up? Would you work your way through it? I got a challenge. Because here's the thing. All of us have a favorite something. All of us have a favorite something. And this is the challenge. I want to challenge you to start putting the same energy and belief into yourself that you put into your favorite team, into your favorite brand, or into your favorite influencer. There are some folks, like, they got favorite influencers. They like, oh my God, they went live. Everything stops. The children don't get food. Bae, so-and-so is on. You already know. The husband's like, oh, boy, come over here. Let me get your food ready. Let me put the food on your plate. Like, because mom's checked out, right? Mom's checked out. Everything stops because of her energy around this person. You got that same energy for you? You got that same kind of belief for yourself? If you are going for a goal, would you pause everything in the household in the same way? Hold on now. Like something just, I gotta, let me get myself centered around my goal. Like I bet your husband would breathe a deep side in and be like, all right, okay, all right. Time is an asset. It's one of our most valuable assets. Anyone that is a champion, they have to set boundaries around how their time is spent. They have to be conscious of where their focus goes. I was reading an article about Tyreek Hill. Anybody that follows football, they know that he's getting sued by some woman. And it's an interesting suit. I'm not going to go there. But nonetheless, somebody put in the comments, that's why he's not in the Super Bowl. I was like, ooh. Like, yeah, during the season, that's the game he was playing. That's why he's not in the Super Bowl. Like champions, they set boundaries. Certain things I'm not doing. Championship boxers doing the training process. Be like, the woman is saying, babe, baby, I'm training right now. No. I'm training right now. They set boundaries. I got a fight coming up. I got to stay sharp. You don't love me? I love you. But I'm aiming at something. I got to make sure that everything's intact. After I knock him out, I'm all yours. Setting boundaries. Focus. I remember watching the Ali movie with Will Smith. There's a part of the movie I really like because it shows how he surrounded himself with people who believed in him. One of the things we know about Muhammad Ali, is he believed in himself. The man believed in himself even when it didn't seem like, George Foreman, whew. Joe Frazier, whew. My goodness. And this man would say, don't be late. I'm going to knock him out in 8. Right? Like it didn't matter. It didn't matter to him. And anybody in his camp that did not believe had to go. You don't believe I can believe you don't believe I can win this fight? Go home. There's a part in the movie, it always, every time I see it shakes me to my core, where his then wife, Jada Pinkett was playing a part. She's kind of going in on him about the fight. Like, what are you doing? This is crazy. He said, what? You don't believe I can, He puts her, I don't know if it's true or not. Like, you can go home then. You don't believe, like his wife, you don't believe I can win this fight? Go home. I can't have that frequency. I can't have that vibration around me. Now, I ain't telling you to tell your wife. I'm not saying that. Just using it as brothers would be like, you heard what Linnell said. There you go, woman. I ain't telling you that, brother. I'm just talking about the movie. But it's that kind of intentionality where I set boundaries and then I surround myself with people who believe in me, people who will advance me. Here's the biggest piece. The only reason that these men will be ready for the game is because there's a deadline. Otherwise, I could use another day to mentally prepare. You can ask both the quarterbacks. If we move it to Monday, you cool with that? Man, they give me a little more time to watch tape. One of the biggest mistakes we make is that we don't take action before we feel ready. Hear me. We don't take action before we feel ready. Like, when it comes to a championship game, you'll never feel ready. Sometimes you just got to put yourself in it. Now it's time to play. It's one of the best things, I think, for professional sports is that sometimes they can't dictate when they come in and out the game. You in. Woo! Okay. Right? I got to be ready. Take action before you feel ready. If you think you'll be ready in August, plan it for June. If you, man, this is when I tell you, like, this is one of the hacks that it's taken me to the next level. You can never be ready enough. Man, for the masterclass idea, remember we kept trying to get into the site. How do we get this figured out? We got there. Oh, the guy's sick. We can't do it today. We showed up, 3 times? Yeah, 2 or 3 times. We didn't move the masterclass, though. We showed up that morning. We weren't ready. We got ready. We got the technology ready. Faith isn't just about belief. It's about action. Everything that we talked about today, like when it comes down, what I do love about this game is that these men are getting on the field because they believe they're champions, and they're going to fight it out. They're going to leave everything on that field today. And all I'm trying to push us towards is, are you doing that in your life? Are you doing that in your life? Are you playing your championship Super Bowl level game in your life? What are you leaving on the table? What are you leaving on the table? What's next for you? I'm going to queue up next week's show. I don't want to give too much away. But I fundamentally believe that one of the reasons many of us aren't playing at a championship level is because we have no clue who we are. And you could know your purpose. You could actually be working in alignment with your purpose, but still be moving beneath the full potential the Creator has for you. And the reason we don't know who we are is because we're not clear on who He is. When I say He in radio audience, I point it up, by the way. So you understand contextually what I mean by He. Any of our struggles with belief are, in many ways, a direct assault on the promises of God. I want you to really think about this. Any struggles in your belief are a direct assault on the promises of the Creator. He created you. Like, do we understand the improbability of being? You got ChatGPT on your phone? Yeah. You do? Do me a favor real quick. Ask ChatGPT, what is the probability of being born as a human when you look at how many of my ancestors, I'm going to wait till you get it up. You got it? All right. What is the probability of me being, I was like, and while he's getting it ready, I was listening to this man talk about, can't remember what form, but he was talking about how special it is that we're all here. And how many times we think, well, in order for me to be here, that means that my parents had to connect and conceive me. What we forget about is that you have sets of grandparents that had to connect and conceive them, and that they had sets of great-grandparents that had to connect and conceive them. And God had to have the divine order that they survive, that they missed the close calls so they could be here, so they could be there, so you could be here. And then there was a set of great-great-grandparents, even more, that all had to survive something so that your great-grandparents could have your grandparents could have your parents, so you could be here. And it keeps going back and back and back through all time. And I think sometimes we forget that the fact that you're here is by divine order. It's not a mistake, folks. Look it up real quick. What is the probability? You got it? Of me being born as a human being in this time, given the need for each of my ancestors to survive to the conception point of my other ancestors. All right, so the probability of you being born as a human in this era is astronomically small due to the sheer number of events that had to align perfectly. Let's break it down. Number of ancestors over 10,000 years. Humans reproduce roughly every 25 years on average, so in 10,000 years, there are about 400 generations of ancestors. See, we don't think about this, okay? Each generation doubles the number of direct ancestors because you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 grandparents, etc. This follows an exponential pattern where N is the number of generations. They had to put it into a mathematical equation, right? So after 400 generations, the total number of direct ancestors is in the last generation would be 22 to the 400th power. We got to calculate that. Keep that in mind. 2 to the 400th power. That's the exponent of, okay? Which is an unimaginably large number, far exceeding the number of atoms in the observable universe. However, due to interbreeding and shared ancestry, this number is much smaller in reality due to genetic recombination. Probability of survival. For you to exist, every single one of those ancestors had to survive long enough to reproduce, avoid disease, predators, wars, accidents, and countless other life-threatening factors. If we assume an average probability of an individual reaching reproductive age is, say, 50%, which is generous for ancient times, the combined probability of 400 generations would be 0.5 squared to the, can I blow this up? 1,000th power, which is effectively zero. So small that it is beyond comprehension. I want you all to get this. The idea that you're alive, the probability that you are alive is so small that it says it's beyond comprehension that you are here. The rarity of your birth, if we factor in all of the random mutations, genetic recombinations, and chance encounters that lead to each conception in your lineage, the probability of you being born as you are today is infinitely small. Dr. Ali Benazar once estimated that the odds of your specific genetic combination existing are about 1 in 10. It's a 10 with an exponent of 2,685,000. A number so large that it makes winning the lottery look like a sure bet. The idea that you are here makes winning the lottery look like a sure bet. Conclusion: the probability of your birth, given all these factors, is effectively zero from a mathematical standpoint, and yet here you are. It's a fascinating realization that makes existence itself seem like a miracle against all odds. Hey, save that, send it to me. If that didn't move you, if that didn't move you, you are worthy because you breathe. You are worthy because you breathe. You are here by divine order. That's the fundamental thing. You want to play at a championship level in your life? You have to sit back and say, wow, I'm here. I'm me. How do I honor that? How do I honor God's plan for my life? Because it had to be Him for me to actually have this opportunity to be alive, to breathe, to take to actually make an impact. So then the question becomes, are you willing to act on what scares you? Are you willing to act? Are you willing to act? You're here. You've experienced the things you've experienced because you're supposed to be here. Ain't no mistakes. Faith isn't just about belief. Now, if I did anything that moves you towards belief in a way that you never believed before, what action will you take? And now you got this finite amount of time. You've been given this gift of life. And you got this finite amount of time. Will you value it? Will you value it? Because if you don't be surprised if no one else does. Will you value it? Here's the final call to action. I want you to just take one step today that proves, because you won the bet of life, you're breathing, that you're willing to bet on yourself. People, when I used to say murder mediocrity and I first got on the air, I don't understand why you use that such strong language, Linnell. You get it now? Like, the fact that we are here is a divine miracle. There's no time for mediocre. There's no time for lukewarm. Like, you got to be hot. You got to be focused. You got to be aiming at something. You got to be aiming at something. Take yourself to the next level. I know I'm different. I know I'm special, not in an arrogant, cocky way, but because I'm breathing. But because God allowed for me to live. He allowed for me to breathe. And then we look at ourselves and I'm not good enough. I wish I looked like this, or I wish I had that. Man, shame on you. Stop it. Stop it. You are uniquely made, uniquely crafted. Now go play your championship game. Thank you for watching Inspirational Perspective. If you love this show and you want to see more content like this, you can go right here. And if you like this subject and you want to see much more content that we have available for you, just click the button here. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to watch the show live, 7 a.m. every Sunday morning on WBON Radio, or you can catch it right here on YouTube or Facebook.com/Coach Linnell Harris. Be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can get more content just like this to you.